So you beautiful people, it's Trakky and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you a really powerful class for what I consider the most underrated weapon in Call of Duty Warzone, which is the Ram-7. Now you may be wondering why on earth I'm playing Plunder currently. I am playing Plunder for several reasons. One, it has the same damage in terms of shield and stuff as Warzone, but you start with your loadout straight away, and I was also ranking up the Ram-7, so it's somewhere I would highly recommend those of you who are trying to rank up weapons for Warzone. Drop down into Plunder and just have a game. You will really quickly get your XP to unlock attachments for different weapons, and all I'm showing you in here is just how quickly this weapon kills people. It does deplete its ammunition very quickly, but it finishes people off so fast. And from what I've researched, it's got the best DPS for AR in medium to close range engagements. There's a few other assault rifles that will take it over in the longer ranges, but it still holds its own and is still up there as a top tier weapon. So before we get into the class setup, if you enjoy the video and you find it helpful, a like is appreciated, and if you're new here and you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing with the notification bell hit so you get my videos as soon as they are published. So let's dive into the class setup. Now, it's obligatory that you use the monolithic suppressor. I've said this so many times. It's going to give you sound suppression, but increased damage range at the slight cost of aim down sight speed and aim walking steadiness. It's something that you just have to have on. I don't think I've really seen anybody play Call of Duty Warzone without a suppressor on their weapon. So in terms of our barrel, we're going to use the FSS Ranger, which is going to increase your damage range, bullet velocity, and it's going to give you better recoil control at the cost again of aim down sight speed and movement speed. But this is going to just totally change the identity of this weapon and make it such a lethal thing to be using. A lot of people like to use stipple grip, including myself, and usually I do use a stipple grip, but on this particular weapon, just because it's got a bit of rampant recoil, to tame that I like to use the tack laser, which will give you better aim down sight speed, aim stability, and aim walking steadiness. Now it does say the con is laser visible to enemies, but I need to make this clear to everybody. This is only visible to enemies when you are actually ADSing. So when you've got the gun in its natural position without shooting, it doesn't show a laser protruding out of it until you actually aim down sight. So that is what I usually replace stipple grip with, but if you prefer to use stipple grip, then go ahead, but I don't think it's going to give you the same benefits and same accuracy as the tack laser. Now, one thing that I will say that is mandatory on this particular setup is going to be the 50 round magazine. Now it's going to increase your ammo capacity obviously to 50 rounds, but this has more of a fire rate that is reminiscent of an SMG. The rate of fire on this weapon is absolutely ludicrous, and it's an actual fact that this has the best DPS out of all the assault rifles in the game, especially at close to medium range. At a longer range, I think other guns come back into the equation, but for medium and short range engagements, this is the daddy right now, and a lot of people don't realize this, hence why I'm saying it's an underrated weapon. Now you all know that I usually use the Merc foregrip, but on this particular weapon I feel like the Commando foregrip is where it's at for that much needed recoil stabilization and aim stability. So that is my class setup for the Ram-7. In terms of my secondaries, I either use the peeler, which I tend to swap out mid-game for something like a MP5, just so when I deplete my ammo on the Ram-7 I can quickly change and finish people off with the SMG. Sometimes I do use my peeler, it depends what the situation is, but you're going to have to run amped to get that fast switch for the peeler or the other SMGs or whatever you're using. And also amped will give you the ability to throw your C4 or put your lethal down about 20% faster. As you can see, I also use the obligatory ghost, which is just mandatory in my personal opinion. I'm not really a sniping person, so I don't really see the necessity for overkill when I can get a free box and buy a box in-game. And in cold-blooded is what I run with the heartbeat sensor. Guys, let me know down in the comment section if this is a class setup and a loadout in Call of Duty Warzone that you feel like you will gravitate to and actually try and use. I will say going into plunder like I did earlier is something that I would recommend, as it gives you a chance to have the weapon without having to buy the loadout and gives you a chance to really, you know, get your targets down and go to war, just to get used to the weapon's personality and what it gets up to in terms of recoil. Guys, there are many buttons you could hit, but a like and subscribe button, I hope they took your fancy. And as always guys, don't forget to stay on the right track. Peace.